serial killer time travel to take revenge and kill them mercilessly. The story begins on April 18, 2003, at a lively party held at Summer's house. The atmosphere is filled with music and laughter, but beneath the surface, a dark tragedy looms. Among the partygoers is Quinn, a young boy who's come with friends. At the party, he unexpectedly runs into her friend Summer. Surprised, Quinn tells Summer that she didn't expect to see her there, especially after what happened to Summer's two best friends. They were brutally murdered by a serial killer, a tragedy that left everyone shaken. Summer replies somberly, explaining that although she's trying to move on, the memories of her friends haunt her and she'll never truly forget them. As the party continues, Summer's ex-boyfriend Ethan arrives and pulls her aside for a private conversation. The two talk briefly, but what they don't know is that a menacing figure, the same serial killer responsible for Summer's friends' deaths, is lurking nearby, watching her every move. Suddenly, the police arrive at the party, causing a stir among the guests. They disperse the crowd and instruct everyone to leave for their own safety, as they suspect the killer might be nearby. Summer heads home, but she's left alone, still unsettled by the events of the evening. She steps into the bathroom to gather her thoughts, and as she's washing her face, a strange noise catches her attention. She turns around to find herself face to face with the serial killer, standing ominously in the dim light. She gasps in terror, barely managing to dodge his first attack, and sprints out of the bathroom in a desperate attempt to escape. Summer's heart is pounding as she searches for a safe place. But the killer is relentless, and after a frantic chase, he catches up with her. With a swift motion, he raises an axe and slashes her throat, killing her instantly. The story jumps forward 20 years to reveal the impact of this tragic event on Summer's family. Now, it's 2024. Summer's younger sister, Lucy, is a quiet, reserved college student. The loss of her sister, whom she barely knew, has affected her deeply, making her feel isolated and alone. She rides her bicycle to college every day, preferring to keep to herself. One morning, as she arrives on campus, she meets her science teacher, Mr. Fleming. He's enthusiastic and proud of her, congratulating her on receiving an invitation for a NASA internship. Mr. Fleming asks if Lucy has shared the news with her parents, but Lucy hesitates. Her father works for a sonar company and has always expected her to follow in his footsteps. She fears that telling him about NASA will only disappoint him, as it's a path different from what he envisioned for her. That same day, a memorial event is held at the college to remember Summer and her friends, who were tragically murdered at a young age. Lucy feels conflicted about attending, as she never truly knew her sister, and sometimes resents being seen as Summer's little sister. Yet, she knows how important this day is to her parents, who have never let go of their memories of Summer. After college, Lucy returns home, feeling a strong pull to visit her sister's old room. Her parents have preserved it exactly as it was, keeping all of Summer's belongings in place. The room feels like a time capsule, frozen in the early 2000s. As Lucy steps inside, she notices an unusual creak in the floor. Curious, she lifts a loose floorboard and discovers a hidden letter. The letter reads, "Summer, I'm free now, but you never will be." The message, signed with the initial T, leaves Lucy with a sinking feeling. She realizes it could be from Ethan, Summer's ex-boyfriend. Just then, her mother enters, prompting Lucy to hide the letter. At breakfast the next morning, Lucy gathers the courage to tell her parents about the NASA internship. Her father reacts predictably, voicing his disappointment and questioning why she would want to leave their small town to work for NASA when she could have a stable job at the sonar company. Tension fills the room, but Lucy stands her ground, insisting that this is her dream. Afterward, the family heads to Summer's memorial, each of them carrying a small token to honor her memory. When her mother asks Lucy if she's brought something for her sister, Lucy awkwardly claims she left it in the car and excuses herself to go look. Outside by the car, Lucy realizes she didn't really know her sister well enough to bring a meaningful memento. As she's lost in thought, she hears a strange sound, like the shutter of a camera. Following the noise, she discovers an old shed on the property. Inside, she stumbles upon a time machine with a digital display showing the date April 18, 2003. As she examines it, a strange light flashes in her eyes, and she suddenly feels dizzy. When the light fades, she steps outside to find herself transported back to 2003 on the very day of the party where Summer died. Disoriented, Lucy realizes that everything looks newer, and her sister's memorial is nowhere to be seen. She pulls out her smartphone, but it doesn't work. There's no signal, as advanced cell networks don't exist yet. It dawns on her that she has somehow traveled back in time, and she decides to find her college, hoping her teacher, Mr. Fleming, might help her understand what's going on. When Lucy arrives, she notices the early 2000s style of the students and feels out of place in her modern clothes. Then, she sees Summer for the first time, surrounded by her friends, including Ethan and others Lucy has only heard about in family stories. She's awestruck, seeing her sister alive and carefree, and realizes this is a chance to change history. Determined to save Summer, Lucy seeks out Mr. Fleming and cautiously brings up the topic of time travel. Another student, Quinn, overhears and enthusiastically tells Lucy that time travel might be theoretically possible. Lucy realizes he'll help her and decides to confide in Quinn, hoping he'll believe her story. Outside, the campus buzzes with activity, and when Lucy hears that seniors are planning to throw Quinn into the lake as part of an annual prank, she steps in to stop them, pushing Ethan away from Quinn and defending him. Quinn, grateful for her help, Quinn is shocked to listen, as she explains that she's from the future. Skeptical at first, he becomes convinced when she shows him her smartphone, demonstrating its touch screen and photo-taking capabilities. Lucy tells Quinn that she needs his help to get back home, explaining that the time machine she found requires a special sonar cylinder to work. Quinn agrees to help her, and they make a plan to break into the sonar lab to steal the cylinder they need to power the machine. Meanwhile, Summer is dealing with her own problems. She tries to reconcile with her friend Amy, with whom she had a falling out, but Amy brushes her off, leaving Summer feeling hurt and isolated. Lucy, in her quest to steal her father's ID card for lab access, realizes that Quinn is shocked to see her outside Summer's house, understanding for the first time that Lucy is Summer's sister. She finally admits the truth, explaining her mission to save her sister and her friends. Lucy accompanies Summer back to her house, meeting her young parents and feeling a strange sense of comfort in being with them as they once were. Summer, oblivious to Lucy's true identity, offers her some of her clothes to blend in, and Lucy is touched by her sister's kindness. As they talk, Lucy sees photos of Summer's friends, Val and Brian, and asks about them. When Summer mentions they're planning to hang out at the mall that night, Lucy realizes this is the night they're destined to die. Lucy rushes to the mall, hoping to warn Val and Brian and save their lives. She arrives just as the mall is about to close and spots the killer, lurking in the shadows, watching his prey. A tense chase ensues as Lucy tries to find Val and Brian and alert them to the danger. She manages to reach Brian, but before she can get him out, the killer stabs him. Lucy screams as the killer turns toward her, but she escapes, only to see Val trapped in a dead-end corridor. As she watches in horror, the killer stabs Val, and both her friends die before her eyes. The mall security guard attempts to intervene, but the killer swiftly eliminates him as well. As Lucy and Quinn flee the scene, they are shaken, devastated that their interference in the timeline seems to have led to more deaths. Quinn warns her that any tampering with the timeline can have severe consequences. However, Lucy can't shake her curiosity about the killer's identity. In her original timeline, people suspected Summer's friend Ethan because of his rough reputation, but the true identity of the murderer was never discovered. Determined to find the truth, Lucy goes back to her house to retrieve her father's ID card for access to the sonar lab, where she believes they can find the resources to stop the killer once and for all. However, she's interrupted by Summer, who catches her snooping around and demands an explanation. Seeing no other choice, Lucy finally comes clean. She reveals that she is, in fact, Summer's sister from the future, here to prevent the tragic events that took her life. Summer laughs it off, unable to believe such a far-fetched story, until Lucy pulls out a letter she found hidden in Summer's room in the future. As they try to piece together the mystery, Summer retrieves a letter from her locker, one she hadn't shown anyone else. Lucy is surprised to learn that the letter was from Amy, revealing that she and Amy had been in a secret relationship, a hidden connection that was dangerous to reveal back then. This explains Amy's aloof behavior and the secrecy surrounding their friendship. As they talk, Lucy and Summer are interrupted by Quinn, who reminds them they need to repair the time machine quickly if they have any hope of fixing things. He admits that he's grown attached to Lucy and would hate to see her leave. Despite the strange circumstances, he has found a true friend in her. Summer, who is beginning to warm up to the idea of having a sister, asks Lucy what she's like in the future. Lucy reassures her, saying that she looks beautiful and is just as vibrant, a lie she hopes will lift Summer's spirits, even if she'll never live to see it. However, as Summer realizes that she's destined to die soon, she's understandably shaken. She learns from Lucy that the killer's next target is Amy, who works in a museum. Fearing for Amy's life, the three make a plan to reach the museum in time and stop the killer. Once they arrive at the museum, they find Amy just as the killer appears. Summer manages to warn Amy, and they all flee, evading the murderer's attacks. They return Amy home safely, but Lucy and Quinn realize that their interference didn't destroy the timeline, which gives them hope that they can continue protecting Summer and her friends. As Quinn asks Lucy what they should do next, she reveals that Summer is actually the killer's final target. In the morning, she asks her parents if they ever wanted another child. They reply that they've only ever wanted Summer, and are content with their family as it is. It dawns on Lucy that her very existence hinges on her sister's death. Her parents wouldn't have had another child if Summer had lived. Determined to go through with her plan, Lucy steals her father's sonar ID card. Back at Quinn's garage, she finds a love letter Quinn wrote for Summer and realizes how deeply he cares for her. When she questions him, Quinn confesses his feelings for Summer, and Lucy urges him to focus on the mission. She finally sits Summer down and shares the painful truth. Her life is the only reason Lucy exists in her timeline, and for Lucy's existence to continue, Summer must die. As night falls, Lucy, Quinn, and Summer go to the sonar lab, where they intend to retrieve the last piece they need for the time machine. Using Lucy's father's ID card, they enter the lab, only to find that the crucial cylinder has already been taken. Nearby, they spot a discarded mask and realize with horror that the killer has been to the lab, too. This revelation confirms their worst fears. The killer is someone with access to the same technology, capable of traveling through time to continue his spree. As the night continues, Summer heads to the party she now knows will be her last. Meanwhile, the killer tracks her, but this time she's prepared to face him. As the murderer moves in for the kill, Quinn and Lucy arrive just in time, hitting the killer with a car and knocking him down. When he recovers, they unmask him, revealing an unexpected face. It's Quinn from the future. The killer Quinn explains that he returned to the past out of anger and revenge. In his timeline, Summer and her friends bullied him mercilessly, pushing him to the edge. Lucy turns on the time machine and takes him to his era. A confrontation ensues, and future Quinn, filled with fury, lunges at Lucy. In the struggle, she manages to stab him with his own knife, killing him and ending the threat he posed to their timeline. As she examines his belongings, she finds an extra time travel cylinder in his pocket. Deciding to stay in 2003 and live in the same timeline as her sister. Back in the present, Summer and Quinn are overjoyed to see her. Summer asks Lucy why she returned, and Lucy explains that in her original timeline, she was alone, but here she has found her sister. Quinn, too, is happy to have Lucy back and knows that in this world they can create a better future together. As they settle into their lives, Lucy applies to NASA, continuing on her journey to follow her dreams while cherishing the family she nearly lost. If you like this movie, then don't forget to subscribe the channel.